Thanks, Mark. Good morning. Rory Pogson. I'm the recruiting policy lead for the MOD. I'm going to apologise, I'm slightly scripted today, and that's just because I'm under pain of death in terms of timings. So if I use my script, I might just be on time. Right, so recruiting and what we're after. So what we'd like you to help us with is our recruiting effort and our recruiting challenge, which we've got up on the screen there. So under the challenge, we're looking for solutions that are going to help us to recruit the right mix of capable and motivated people. It's an enduring challenge, and we've got to make sure that we can provide sufficient, appropriately skilled people to deliver defence outputs. And those defence outputs change, and can change quite rapidly. So that's why it is a particular challenge. What this means is we need to be able to recruit people who want to be part of a very specific way of life against a background of changing societal norms and demographic pressures. Finding the right people and recruiting them into defence at the right volume and at the right pace is a significant challenge. So I'll just spend one slide looking at those challenges and describing our analysis of the recruiting environment. And I'm sure some of this will be familiar with you. It's not because it's not unique to us. So as CDP said, yeah, we are 95% recruited. But that's as a result of an absolutely massive effort and a massive organisation, and of course within a very, very particular recruiting environment. So it's tough, and we can do better. And we've got challenges coming down the pipeline, which you might be able to help us aim off for. So the significant problems that we face include economic issues, employment, social, demographic challenges. As a few of those are broken out up there. A forecast decline in the 16 to 24-year-old population, and we're looking in the next couple of years to have a real trough at the bottom of that in terms of the people that we recruit from. An increase in minority groups as a percentage of the population. And this is an issue because they're underrepresented, and we find it really, really hard to recruit from those groups. Shortage of individuals with STEM skills and real competition for talent in that area. And a field really that's tilted away from us, if you like, in terms of academia. So schools are incentivised to keep people in school and in academia rather than moving them into jobs. As General Nugent mentioned earlier on, with no high-profile operations, we just aren't in the public eye at the moment. So we're talking to children, it's just there's a real visibility issue there as they come into 16, 17, 18-year-old and they start to sort of think about the choices that they might want to make. But yes, it's not all doom and gloom. Currently we've got 95% recruited, but underneath that headline figure, there are some significant challenges because, of course, where we're having deficits, they're not just spread nice and evenly throughout the force. They're going to be in very particular areas. And where you get issues in particular areas, of course, that's when we start beginning to think about, well, is there an operational problem that we might face here? Is there a problem in some engineering areas, some logistics areas, some intelligence areas, some aircrew roles? So there are some very specific challenges that we face. So if that's the environment, what I'd like to do is just give you a very brief overview of the recruiting process. So what you see here, represented very simply, is a multi-million pound endeavour that starts with engagement and ends up with great candidates embarking on amazing careers. It's not necessarily linear. Some steps can be done in parallel or in any order, and there are variations on this theme across the services, but this is just to give you an idea. This process can be completed in under 3 months, so it can be pretty swift. But in that case, it's by very, very well-prepared candidates, and that's swift by our standards, which might not be the same as yours. What we actually find, however, is that it takes an average of 300 days or so, and we know that a large part of that is just waiting for the candidate to act. There are missed appointments. There's not being prepared. There's repeating a step. But also we know that there's a huge amount of process there. So if it's going to take 300 days for you to join the forces, you need to be doing something during that 300 days, which means we're forcing you to go and do some other choices So you can see here that this is a complex problem, and we could really do with your help in attacking this and looking at things in a completely different way. But it is a complex bit of a Rolls-Royce system. It takes, the recruiting pipeline takes the potential recruit from the attract phase through marketing and outreach, national advertising, segmented marketing, all the way through to initial training. And this process selects out against a big set of criteria as we seek to de-risk as we go through the process, from the people that first express an interest through to somebody that joins training. So the process progressively applies criteria, and you can see some of those up there. Set of criteria, set of assessments to applicants, so that we're filtering out people, so that we're just left with those who are eligible to join being accepted because they've passed certain standards. The criteria, the checks, the assessments include educational qualifications, nationality, medical screening, fitness, security, aptitude. Much of the process is online and managed online, but it is not frictionless. It requires creation of an account. It requires the submission of huge amounts of information. I'm pretty sure we asked for that information more than once during the process. And a lot of coordination between various different elements of the process. So that sounds like a bit of a behemoth. It is sophisticated, it is complex, it is a multi-million-pound exercise. And of course, the services are already tackling many of the issues that I've described associated with the recruiting process. So we do candidate relationship management, we employ digital nudges. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't other opportunities that you might be applying in your industries that help improve the way we do things through this challenge. The goal in all cases is to make sure that candidates can complete all of their required inputs quickly and accurately, and that they feel motivated and engaged as part of the process, all the way through to getting into training. Converting an individual's interest into an informed career choice is particularly important. Similarly, the services are actively seeking to reduce the so-called time of flight, how long it takes to get through the process. All three services are interested in how this could be developed further and possibly scaled up. There are similar challenges in the civil service, but I'm not going to cover the civil service in detail today. But that doesn't mean you can't, that any bid that you might put in could not potentially be applied in that area. So if that's sort of the recruiting process and the environment, just a reminder really of the ask. We're looking for innovative approaches to improve the way that we go through that process that I've described. So let's think about solutions. Potential solutions, there's a few up there. The competition paperwork has got a lot more detail, and you've got all of that. And what I've put on the screen up there is not prescriptive, and it's not everything. So there's just some prompts, really. Clearly, we're looking for innovation to inform and develop our already complex, sophisticated, high-volume operation. Not just more of the same. Not just taking a contract we already have from one company and giving it to another company. We're looking for innovation and new ways of doing things. So, do you have specialist expertise or a unique approach that could be applied in this field? Could you help us to streamline the process, maybe taking more risks, without jeopardizing security and standards? Do you have something that can give us greater insight into Generation Z and how to attract them, or how to influence their behaviour once they've expressed an interest? Do you have something that can increase the likelihood of them moving from interest to applicant, or to make them just do things more quickly? Do you have a unique perspective or unique success on minority groups? Can you help us do a better job of identifying potential and aptitude, particularly for very specialist and technical trades? So I'm happy to talk about any of these in questions or afterwards. But an example might help, just to help you sort of scale down into something that might be approachable for your company. So if we use the example of cyber, which General Richard mentioned earlier on, as indeed did the Minister. So currently, our cyber forces come from related trades in the military. So if you are in the intelligence area, if you are in communications, it's very likely that that's the background we'll take you from to work in our cyber area. and that's in the regular forces. If you're in the reserves, we'll take you from related industries and businesses. So far, so good, but it's early days in cyber, and we need to put cyber on a more regular footing. We need to start recruiting directly into the cyber force from the civilian population, just like we do with any other part of our force. So we need to establish it as a career stream, direct recruitment. And it's a very particular and very separate set of aptitudes, potentially. So in the military, what we're doing is we're adjusting our expectations of what a sailor, soldier, or airman might look like if they are a cyber warrior. So we're getting okay with tattoos, and we're getting okay with beards, and we're having a think about fitness, and so we're trying to do a good job on ourselves of changing our expectations, okay, not just relying on the sort of those historical norms. But actually, if we're going to directly recruit someone with this very different sort of outlook, there's a certain amount of risk there. So in terms of the aptitudes that we're looking for, the skill sets that we're looking for, personality types maybe, is there something there in a force that we're looking to recruit, something in the low hundreds maybe over time, a year, as opposed to tens of thousands, that might be more scalable to a business of your size or a skill set of that your organisation has. So I hope that breaks it down a little bit from sort of the massive solve everything in defence challenge to something that you can perhaps bite off into bite-sized chunks. So that's pretty much me. That's what we want you to help us with. I've outlined the challenges that we face, given you a bit of detail about the process and a bit of an example, hopefully to try and bring that to life. So I look forward to engaging with you in more detail during the sessions this afternoon. But if there are any immediate questions now, I'm happy to take them.